There was a lot of people that were saying, why would you move it? Why are you doing this? You knew why. And as a group, we knew why. There was a lot of positives moving it to the new location, but everyone said, you're going to kill the Shootout. And you know what? You did. You killed it. You hit it out of the park. It was a freaking home run.
The 2025 Shootout is come and gone. Depending on where you reside on the lake, probably determine your positive or negative outlook on the event. But by most accounts, including my firsthand take, I would say that it was a resounding success, especially considering the magnitude of such an event, changing locations and all of the logistics that accompany it. With all of the impending growth coming near the new location, I can only imagine that the event will continue to grow year over year. But my opinion and viewpoint is only one, so I decided to hijack Ken Lawler's podcast studio, or join him, to interview the cornerstone of the Shootout and the person who drives the bus, Leah Martin, to get her post-event perspective and what we can expect next year.
Welcome back to the LOZ App Podcast Network Shootout Week Recap. We've been talking all show about all the things going on with Shootout and how amazing it was. A week to remember. I mean, I don't think everybody I talk to, Jeff, I mean, they come up to me. I'm not even asking them. And they're like, that was unbelievable. They're seeking out people that they know that were a part of it and letting people know how good it was. You know, when it first got introduced that we were moving the Shootout to a new location, there was some chatter. There was a little bit of back and forth about, you know, should we really move it? Is that what's going on? I will tell you, we are excited because we have Leah Martin that's going to join us next. And she was an integral part and the visionary behind moving this thing and getting it where it was. I think it worked out just fine for her. So let's go ahead and bring her on the air. We're going to bring Leah Martin. Leah, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm tired.
I was going to say, we were talking earlier and we're like, we actually got Leah to come on with us the week after the Shootout. I don't know how. I'm surprised she's not in bed and just like turning her phone off and telling everybody, I'll talk to you next week. How many hours of sleep have you gotten in the last week?
Well, last night, 8 hours. So that's amazing.
Prior to that,
in the last week combined. So that was great. Everyone's messaging me. They're like, hey, did you take a nap on Monday? I'm like, no, we unloaded box trucks and moved out of dog days. And we have like 15 volunteers next door moving stuff, but we'll take a nice long break for the holiday weekend.
And I think everybody doesn't understand that. Like the day, you know, it's a wrap. The race is over. You've given out the awards. It's over, right? That's wrap it up and everybody goes home. Your work just gets started. This is like one of the busiest months you have coming up.
Yeah, it takes us a couple weeks to kind of dismantle everything we just did, even though it takes us, 10 months to put it together. And then we kind of kick off into, this is the time that you're getting in budgets for 2026 sponsors and selling ads and doing all of those things. So we'll kick that off. Our team's going to take a little break. We're going to unwind, have this weekend, and then next week starts 2026.
Well-deserved. Look, I've been around you for a long time. And when we decided that maybe to look at a new location last year, you took a lot of heat. There was a lot of people that were saying, why would you move it? Why are you doing this? You knew why. And as a group, we knew why. There was a lot of positives moving it to the new location, but everyone said, you're going to kill the Shootout. And you know what? You did. You killed it. You hit it out of the park. It was a freaking home run. It was just... I can't tell you the amount of people, we were talking about this before on the air, the amount of people who come up to me and said, that was amazing. Like these are people that don't normally give out compliments. And they're like, that was amazing. And as I was talking to Jeff, and Jeff, you kick in here on this, but if you were just planning one thing, let's just say you were going to plan the street party. That would take a major organization, a year's worth of planning and time and hundreds of volunteers to just plan that event. That was one of 7 events last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And it's great because we have new sponsors this year and even our old sponsors, right? Because of the new location, but they come in and they're like, how do you guys do it? Because we talk to them and we try to show them video and we bring them in, but unless you've been to the Shootout before, you just don't understand it. And there's so many fast moving parts and so much happening, but the move is definitely great for us. We knew that it would be, I understand the infrastructure where we were at. I understand the growth plan for once we have a parking garage. So we'll get through the hiccups of parking. Once we have the Oasis, once we have a hotel, that long-term growth model and plan. And, I was nervous. I asked multiple times in the safety planning, just a smidge about, hey, should we do some sort of extended no wake? When that no wake was put into place, it was when Party Code was at its prime, and it was designed to develop and handle the kind of traffic the Shootout produces, going in one direction. So the only reports of docks that we heard this year was a gentleman on the 22-mile marker, and he said, hey, I really wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I was concerned about dock damage, but I had nothing. It was amazing. Great job, great location. Keep it there. It was great. That positive feedback's great to hear. Our team's tired. We had a hard year. We took a lot of hits and a lot of controversy. And, Jeff likes to say, he's like, it's controversial. And I say, no, it's not. It's not. It's really not. It's a black and white decision with black and white reasons behind it. That's where we're at. So obviously it worked out for for everybody. Even those that were a little hesitant and said, maybe I'll sit this one out, decided to come at last minute. And those guys were the ones that found me on Saturday and Sunday and said this was the best.
Let me just, I can tell you from experience, I was sitting in her office the night before the street party at midnight, and she had people that were texting her. This is midnight Central Standard Time. Mm-hmm. I think I'm in. I made a mistake. I'm in. I want to be in. Can you get a booth? And she's like, got this labyrinth of booths in front of her. And she's like, I have 15 more booths. I got to find room for 15 more people. They didn't stop coming. I mean, they were calling you all hours of the night so they could get in.
No, absolutely. I think people just didn't, there's just a lot this year and a lot with the move. And some said, maybe I'll set it out. Maybe I won't. And maybe people won't come to the Shootout. Maybe people won't support it. And obviously, I think we had record turnout across the board on everything. So it was great. We'll figure out traffic flow. We'll have a parking garage next year. The city of Lake Ozark, traffic flow to the street party, I really don't know. That's just going to be what it is. Maybe we'll offer some more shuttling next year off-site. But
I don't know. Jeff, what do you you saw that from the air. You saw the traffic.
Yeah, I agree. There's only so much you can do. The arteries to go in are just limited. So I think that's a great idea, actually. I think shuttling would be a fantastic idea. I think people will be open to it. Because I, as a spectator, have experienced literally taking an hour and a half coming up HH. And so I, for one, would be all for it as a spectator to say, hey, if I can pull out and go park in a lot that's, a mile away and be shuttled over, and I get there in 15 minutes versus an hour, heck yeah, let's go.
And I get dropped off at the front gate, and I'm there as opposed to walking. I know people said they walked from Woods. People said they walked from Menards. Oh my gosh. This is, can you imagine getting out of Menards?
Back. I know the traffic was back to like Rusty Rooster on Bagnell Dam Boulevard multiple times. I heard I was back to Port Chima. Everything was kind of like an hour and a half delay on the street party. One gentleman said, hey, Leah, they're a production crew trying to come in. They said, we literally have set, it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get from JB Hooks to School Road. That's, a quarter of a mile. So
what a great thing though.
Came and supported, and it was great. The weather didn't hurt either. It wasn't incredibly hot. It was a good year. And there's been so much negative to this year with the move. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. There's been like 2% of the population.
They have to be quiet now. Look,
in some of those pages.
We put that to bed. It's a home run. If you saw the shot of the air of those boats lined up on Saturday, I've never seen anything like that. That's Party Cove times 10. I want someone to count the boats because I agree. Everybody's like 2,500, 5,000. I don't know what it is, but I just know that it was an amazing party. And by the way, and I work on the inside, and I hear when they close the course and don't close. On the old location, they would have to close the course almost every 10 minutes to get somebody across the course or something. There was none of that this year. It was open. I think they closed the course twice for debris or 3 times for debris. That was it.
And we learned some lessons on this course. So the course is good. The racers liked it. We had a northern wind for the first time ever in the history of the Shootout because we had a cold front coming in August, which doesn't happen in Missouri. So that pushed our buoys. We just consistently had to fight that a little bit. And then the new location, we just weren't sure. We were pretty confident. Justin went out to set the course and with the dock companies, and thank you to Atlas Docks and Big Thunder Docks and DockWorks. All 3 dock companies worked together to help set that course. And Stokes Docks supported the air show. We had so much support from our local dock companies to help make the actual course safe. But they went out and Justin said, at 4:30 it was great. We're setting buoys. You see a little bit of lights, like no big deal. He's like, the sun came up and there were hundreds and hundreds of boats tied to our buoy line. So they spent 8 hours, literally 8 hours, setting the dock, setting the course with dummy buoys on Thursday, and then going into setting inflatables on Saturday morning. It took a little bit of time. So we had a little bit of delay. So we learned, like, hey, if that's going to happen, we're going to have record turnout, which I think we're only going to continue to grow, then we'll just not start racing until 9 next year, because that gives us enough time of daylight to be able to, if there's a problem with the course, if we have hundreds of boats tied to our buoys, to get on back off of the buoys and get that line set straight away before all the other boats come in.
People were so excited. I mean, they were getting out, and it was kind of funny. On Sunday, it was a little later start. First of all, people were out there for 8-10 hours on Saturday. I mean, I can't imagine being there for 10 hours and then coming back out again. They got a little late, but and as soon as the big boys started racing, you looked out there and it was another huge row of boats. Everybody just needed a couple hours to, I think, recoup before they got out there on Sunday. But that's the other thing too, is like to go from the no wake start to the course was nothing. I mean, you're talking maybe 20 minutes tops to get through that no wake. If you sat through the no wake before, you're talking an hour and 20 minutes, 2 hours maybe. And the people that lived on either side of those no wakes got crushed. Hey, look, I'm like everybody else. If I sit in idle speed for an hour, as soon as you tell me I don't have to idle, I'm gunning it, and my buddies are gunning it, and we're all just going down the lake. But the way they dispersed it, it's such a big area of the lake when they come out of there that you can disperse a ton of boats and it doesn't mess anybody up. And the fact that you got somebody, look, you've had people call you every year and complain about who's going to fix my dock and what's going to go on. The fact that you have people messaging you through Instagram saying, great job on the exit strategy. First of all, it tells you this lake is very knowledgeable about what happens at these events. That's a
and that really went a lot of, there's wake science, and a lot of that went into that. And really, because I don't understand wake science, right? It's not what I do daily. And so I kept pushing, like, let's just extend the no wake a little bit. And they said, Leah, wake science comes into play here. This was put into party code. Like, this will work. And we do know that we probably pretty equally, I would say 60-40 split traffic, right? And so, because just where the large population of people at the lake are. And then at that interchange, that's the busiest interchange on the lake regardless. So those docks are rough water docks. They're built to handle that kind of flat traffic, because that's a normal holiday weekend for them, really. I think it was great. It worked. I'm thankful everyone was safe. We had no incidents. It was great. So
and you broke a few records.
Yeah, Tri-Tune, PWC, and
they're in a hybrid 242. And then the pontoon for one. Look, I own a pontoon. I was talking about this. My pontoon at 25 seems fast. I mean, it's like driving a couch. 171. 117 on a pontoon.
Yeah.
And then the jet ski, 121. We actually were in the booth, and that speed came through, and we were questioning ourselves. Like we thought we got a wrong speed. We thought we heard it wrong. Something that happened. That was right. It was 121 miles per hour on a freaking jet ski.
I was sitting right there. That was fast. It was hard to keep up with it with a camera, because it was like,
so fast. And they're just on a quarter mile, because they shortened that course for those guys.
Yeah.
So super fast. We wrote some records, which is great. Obviously, we laid down new records for that course, regardless what class you were in on the new course. I mean, all of it was just super fast. And we're just excited to see that competition come back. The shootout had, we've worked every year. That's why we've had kilos and reintroduced different things, and that heads up runs. We'll have a lot more heads up runs next year. I think we've really tried to just get that competition back. And so I know JR Onken texted me and said, I'm coming down today to get one of the motors. The boys pulled it out. Their last run, American Ethanol, their run was beautiful. It probably would have been the highest number by, I bet, at least 10 that we've seen them put down anywhere. And so they're already working for next year. And Daryl Cuddle, the owner of Durana Hybrid, has literally texted me or called me every single day, and they're just excited for next year. So that's great. We're excited to see that competition back and really put this kind of back to what it used to be, and this really truly top guns gunning for each other.
And hopefully Freedom 1 comes back too next year too.
Yeah, Freedom 1's boat will be built. It's in the molds right now. There was a very, very slight chance that they would be here this year. It was very, very slim. So they'll get that boat out. They'll run it at Havasu, I think, again next year. We'll be out there to help with that. And
who did show up this year, though? You know who did show up? The almost 800 volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, you looked out.
Incredible.
Really amazing. I mean,
they're still showing up. I have like 10 or 15 people next door in and out all day today. Monday, we had volunteers here. Yesterday, we had volunteers here all day, and we've unloaded trailers and got these Cadillacs moved around and all the things, the merchandise. We have people coming in to shop right now. I think we put our merchandise online. We had like 50 orders in the first 24 hours. So they're pulling merchandise orders to get those out the door this week. Those volunteers are amazing.
And guess what, guys? If you want to be a volunteer, it's really simple. You just go to shootouthelpers.com and you too can become a volunteer. And the coolest thing about this, and this has always been to me the neatest part of how you guys put this together, I can go donate 10, 20 hours of my time. I can decide how I distribute those hours to which charity. And I don't have to necessarily give them all to one. I can give 10 to the Boy Scouts and 10 to the firefighters. You get to pick where you donate your hours to. It's super simple. You go to Shootout, you sign up, it takes 3 minutes, and then you get to pick the event you want to work at. You pick the times. You may have a skill set that we need. I mean, that's the one thing, Leah, that we don't talk about a lot. It's not just volunteers. It's volunteers with skill sets on different things that we need. You know, some guys know a lot about what's going on with parking. They've done it before. Some guys know a lot about setting up tents. Some guys know a lot about, you know, just logistics. And we utilize people for what they know, right? I mean, it's not just, hey, we're just thinking about it.
You know, and I have some like older people that are like, hey, Lee, I can't do the heat, but I would love to come in and help do XYZ. So they come in the office and help us. Or I had someone come in and so busy for Shootout. And I was like, can you just get into, I had 3,000 unread emails in the last like 3 weeks. I just need, can you get in and filter these? And so they just went in and did a quick scan and popped them into folders for me by priority. Because obviously I'm trying to stay to catch up, but there's no way, like you just can't keep up on that. You know, we have people that used to own a print shop, and we have now the Shootout has its own printer. And so we print our own banners. And so coming in and just getting those cut and getting all, you know, getting the banners handled, like it just takes a skill set of so many people. This year was really difficult for our little small team. It was so busy and there were so many people. And so maybe we should consider something. And, you know, Saturday, and we're tired, and Saturday night, I've had a volunteer who worked as many hours as I did that week said, I don't want to get paid. I want to volunteer my time and it go to my charity. That's what I want to do. We're going to change things up a little bit for next year. I sent out yesterday about 20 different kind of sections of how I saw this event work and how we're going to break that up and just start literally next week. We're going to start meeting and planning. We'll have a recap of 2025, make any changes, look at kind of everything that's good and bad and things that need improvement and things that worked well, and then start with 26 moving forward.
And your team was amazing. I mean, Sarah with the helpers and the volunteers, and Destiny with marketing and social media, and Ricky with, I don't know, everything.
Everything. Wherever we needed them, he was just an extra set of hands. And yeah, no, they're amazing. I mean, they killed it. They are wore down. They're so tired.
I can imagine.
So, but we're all still here. Everyone's here. Everyone's working. And in fact, tomorrow, I said, guys, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, like, please, I don't want to see you go home. And Ricky's like, I'm going to come in for a few hours tomorrow. And Destiny's like, I want to work from the house tomorrow. And Sarah came up. She's like, I'm just going to stay the night tonight and I'll come in tomorrow. I'm like, you can't get rid of them. We're all tired. I mean, we've got really gone weekend to weekend, right? Like,
oh my God. It's
events and some mini shootouts since last
I've
Friday.
witnessed it. And the Cadillacs, you know, what a cool thing you did when you brought those in, because first of all, cool for them. They got so much exposure.
They did. They really did. Yeah.
The cars driving around, all the VIPs, you know, just seeing those everywhere. That was amazing. And I want to tell you, like, that was a cool thing. And I know it was not easy because you guys managing 40 Cadillacs is a full-time job.
Keys. That was
40 sets of keys.
They came in and every single key looked alike, and they brought them to me in like a box. And I'm like, oh my God.
Good luck.
Squad start pushing buttons.
We did order tags and had them tagged and had a great system. But you would go out there also like all just alike, right? So we'd go out and like click and just see what
which one beeped
and what alarm was beeping on a car to use it. So it was great. No, those were great. And we had so many people utilize those, you know, even like Durana Hybrid, like Steve Curtis and his wife on Sunday, she realized we had them and she said, hey, we're going to the airport tomorrow. We don't have a ride. We were going to just try to do one. And so, you know, it was great just to shuttle our done down to the airport. Oh, no problem. I got to Escalade, right? And so we sent them down. And so just that really helped a lot with our sponsors and our VIPs and just help coordinating people. But also not just those, like we had divers that came into town. And so normally would have had the shootout, would have had to have paid for rentals, paid for airport pickups, paid for rentals while we were here. And so it was fantastic to just send a car that was being covered under a sponsorship, and drivers. That was a collaboration with Lake Ride Pros. They were fantastic. They did all of our driving all week long. And so it was just great to call one of the guys with Lake Ride Pros and say, hey, I've got 3 divers coming in Springfield. Can you grab them? And they just went and did it. So they had dedicated cars. You know, we had dedicated hours outside of their normal. That's our busiest week. And so for them to take time and to do it.
Jimmy's great over there. That's good people.
Yeah, they were great.
So tell me this, and I know we can talk. I know from the app side, we saw double the traffic. We saw double of everything. And by the way, last year was a great year.
Yeah.
We saw double. I mean, you don't see double. That's not normal. It's not normal to have those kind of jumps. But we saw app traffic, clicks into the section, viewing on your YouTube channel, all that stuff that we saw from our side was amazing. What are you seeing from your side?
So our YouTube channel had 135,000 watch hours. Last year it had 65,000. So we're seeing about a 60% kind of across the board increase. Our website had, I think it was like 25,000 watch hours, and our Facebook had like 26,000 watch hours.
Amazing. Those are people that weren't there. I mean, there was some were watching there because we had them on, people were watching on the app in their boat, whatever, but that's just people around the world that are just tuning into this event. It does stretch so far outside of our little town of Lake Ozark. And I know the lieutenant governor couldn't have been, I mean, he was pumped. That's our biggest fan, I think. I mean, I got a chance, and Jeff, you did too, talking to him. Mm-hmm. He was so pumped up about this event, and just when I don't think he quite got it until he showed up and he was like, oh my God, this is huge.
And not only just the governor, the Secretary of State, I mean, they were here. We had a lot of people here and they loved the event and they've gone and supported it. Actually, one of the lieutenant governor was speaking to one of the television stations, a conglomerate that owns a lot of stations. And they just, while we've been on this podcast, text me and asked for video footage. Just going to continue to pour into the surrounding area. So they have some of the bigger channels in Columbia and Kansas City and St. Louis. And so they're going to cover the lieutenant governor being here in the run and cover some of our highlights from the event. And so we're happy to share that footage. I challenge the lieutenant governor because I just think sometimes Lake of the Ozarks is Lake of the Ozarks, and we haven't necessarily, they know it's a tourist community, but especially with my event, they said, hey, you're the 5th largest event in the state of Missouri, but we've not really tapped into tourism dollars or things to support events that help promote tourism at the lake. Until this year, they did Visit Missouri. We had Visit Missouri dollars and are working with them directly to get cell phone data and stuff from the event. So that's great. But on Friday, I told the lieutenant governor, I said, my challenge to you is to track every state. Every time you talk to someone, I want you to ask them what state they're for. And he did. And so Saturday morning, he saw me and he said, Leah, I'm onto countries.
I'm out of states.
States. We've hit all the states. I am onto countries at this point. He's like, Australia, Norway. He was just going,
Yeah.
He's like, we're on to countries. He's like, this is crazy. And so I think what a great way to show like tourism at Lake of the Ozarks with our event. I mean, it is the largest event of the lake. We know that. And we attract people from everywhere. And 85% of our participants are not from Missouri. So,
and yet what you hear in tourism is heads and beds. I mean, that's what you see out there. And I don't know how many tens of thousands of heads and beds you put in the last couple of weeks, but you guys are hopeful to get that data. But I mean, it's amazing.
Margaritaville said they did twice what they did last year. And I know I had my Jumbotron guy, I may have, between the cracks, somehow forgot to get him a hotel room. He called me on 30 minutes out. So thank God for Lake Day Rentals and Pam and those guys. I called and said, hey, what you got anywhere? I'll take it. But I called Margaritaville first and they said, Leah, we're completely sold out. We have nothing. Yeah. And that is not the case, because typically we'll have people that'll like, hey, last minute, it's a sponsor, we need an extra room or something. So we have a room block. And I've never had a problem getting someone into a room at Margaritaville specifically, because that's where our room block is at. And they said, we're out. We're completely tapped out, completely sold out. So that's great. And I think that's the case most of the time. I mean, if you don't have a space, it's good. And the number one question right now, I can show you 30 emails I've gotten in the last 24 hours. What are next year's dates? I'm making plans, they're getting their hotel reservations right now.
Yep. So. And get in early with sponsorships, get in early with, if you want a tent at the street party, get in early if you want a spot on the street. I mean,
look, people already are requesting dock slip requests.
So the beauty is you should have more dock slips next year, I think, right? We're planning
we should have 300, and we would have still actually had the Oasis docks. So Big Thunder Docks is building those. And they called about a month before and they said, listen, the docks are going to be done. They're great. We wanted to make sure we have them. Fred Ross said, I want pedal to the metal. I want those done for the shootout. And the Oasis called and said, we'll have that, but it'll be a cart path down. And I just said, that's not our best foot forward for this year. And that's not your best foot forward for this year. Yeah. And we want the best. And everyone at the table agreed, even though I think those guys still really wanted, because they had pushed so hard to have them done for me. And I was like, this is your pass. It's okay. I would rather not have to a cart path, and I knew with the helicopters and the dirt that's hailing over there. So the parking garage is done. It was completed. It's built offsite and comes in on 900 truckloads, like Lincoln Logs. They come together. And so as soon as Dog Days shuts down, it was another conversation we had this year. So those guys have just been so great, but they're like, hey, we've got to live. This is a one-time event, but this partner next door to us is here forever. And if we shut down his road in season to give you a parking garage for 1 week, like that's not going to be great for anyone. And so we all agreed let's just move it. We had adequate facing service. I actually had a couple more docks than what I had last year. And so in previous years, so we're like, I can make these work this year, and then we'll just be able to really grow into 26 and then with the hotel into 27.
Can you imagine how good it's going to, I mean, this is going to get bigger and bigger. And
yeah, amazing. Yeah.
I want to thank you personally for getting a new place to do production out of, because the difference between this year's facility and last year's facility couldn't have been any greater. We actually
there wasn't vines growing in the
there was no vines.
Can I also mention too, we haven't mentioned this yet, and I told Leah this, is the cell reception on the course.
Oh my God, amazing.
I mean, I was working it, but as a spectator, that always aggravated me over at the old course, and it was incredible.
That came down to the minute, didn't it? Like you got that in. They kind of gave us.
It's with Mark Amps, Chief Am Singer, who knew the event really well, and he was at Lake Ozark Fire, now he's Mid-County Fire. So during some of the meetings, I kept hounding on the cell phone service, and I'm like, guys, I'm getting nowhere. Can you help? And he was like, yeah, I'll try. We were supposed to get a mobile booster. It did not end up happening. So what they did was turn up the service for us for the weekend, and it worked.
It made a difference. I mean, I can tell you from a guy who has an app.
The amount of, the infrastructure is just different where the new location is at, and it's built to, again, it's 6 lanes of traffic over that bridge, and the traffic flow and the location infrastructure is just totally different, including cell phone service, and it worked. If I called someone and it went to voicemail, I just called right back, because we were communicating a lot on the course that way. So
we're gonna let you go, but we have one more thing I want to ask you about. I know that you guys did a lot of merch. You sold a ton of merch at the event. Is there any left for people who missed out that they might be able to buy?
There's a lot left. Yep. So you can go to LOTOshootout.com or LakeOfTheOzarksShootout.com, either one. And merchandise is right on the home screen right now. We actually have a little store set up next door to my office where we're packing orders. We've had like 4 or 5 people stop in today to buy merchandise. So we'll be here tomorrow, like 8 to 2. We will not be here Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then we'll be here next week. So people can come in and just shop and get what they need to get. So the Wednesday with the street party was so bad. I had multiple people texting me orders. I'm like, guys, you're going to have to just come. I can't. There's no way I can remember this.
But they can still get the merch. Yeah, guys like me, is there a dad hat left?
Limited, but there's a lot left.
Is there a dad hat? Because I don't wear the kind of hats that Jeff wears. I got to wear a dad hat.
10 dad hats, Ken. That's it.
I love it. Well, Leah, thank you.
First? Yes, one guess of what hat sold first.
I'll go by there tomorrow, and I'll save you a dad hat. How was that? How about
perfect?
Upside down hat, Ken.
I know. I got to get with it. I'm trying.
No, you're good. I didn't even know it was a thing either. And neither of our volunteers did. But it's interesting because we learned a little bit more about our buying demographics with that hat. Like if we sell them quickly, then we are selling to like the 20-year-olds, and we sold them all on a Wednesday night. So
nice. Well, you're not 20. How do you have one?
I act like I am, though.
He's just trendy. He spends time on TikTok. I don't have time to do that.
I want to say one thing too, Leah. I want to applaud you, because the sense you mentioned the team, and I felt it. I was in the office on Monday, and everybody's asking each other, and like I want to keep going. Like I'm tired, but I don't want to stop. And the sense of just the local pride that you've created in this event, for me and Ken, it's an honor to be a part of it. We could feel it now, getting to know everybody. I felt it, and now seeing everybody's response online. You've done such an awesome job. I mean, I can't applaud you enough. And as a local Midwesterner and a Missourian, God, I just feel so proud to be a part of this. Just even if I was just a spectator, to be a part of this, it's unbelievable. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It takes all of us to do it. And it was just a great event. And our socials grown. So this is my shout out to Fitzer Media, who's Jeff. He manages the Shootout socials now. along with Destiny, but they did, I mean, I think we're at 11,000 in the last 7 days now.
Amazing.
New
Wow.
followers. We're 9.1 million in our reach for just through, I haven't looked at it. This was as of Sunday night. You know, our reach during that weekend was just incredible. The constant reels and stuff coming out. So thank you for that. Thank you, Ken, for the LZ app, the Shootout results. People are like, we love that app. Because they're going on it quickly. Like you said, I think there was 12,000 users. So that's not, we don't have 12,000 racers. But
it was good. I heard from a bunch of people that were just like, this is cool. I can follow along. And, you know, we put the queue up for, at the last minute, they said, well, can you put the queue? We do it for the production people so that they see who's coming up next.
Yeah.
And I think it was Brad Harrington said, you know, we were in the racer meeting and they asked us, you know, somebody found out that we were doing that. And they said, can you put it up for the racers?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess, but why? And they're like, well, then we know when to get ready and kind of, if we see ourselves coming up in 10. And so we put it up there and it was great because all the racers were using it for that. And we were just so happy to be a part of it. And
and the racers to the before, that's been one hard thing. We run a boat every minute, 30 seconds. But when you have 100 boats, there's still 100 people waiting in line. So you're still in an hour plus wait, right? And so that's without any hiccup or, you know, a boat getting, you know, slowing down on the course. We had several of those, right? Like didn't make a complete pass or something happening. And so that slows that down. And so the racers could look and say, oh, I'm up in 10. It's time to leave dog days. We saw more boats in the docks at dog days hanging out because they didn't have to go out there and wait for those 100 boats to run or for the 50 boat and run because they could see how far they were out in the queue and kind of knew how long to take that. So yeah, it was great.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have 1,000 things you could be doing this week. We just wanted to kind of recap. Jeff and I were kind of excited. We're like, we're coming off the week. We want to talk about it and having you, you know, here to give us all the numbers. And once again, thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to everybody who put it in, your team, you guys. And you mentioned him, but there's a guy, you know, Justin gets a little bit of recognition, but that's Leah's husband. When she says Justin, it's not just Justin. He does so much behind the scenes. Like nobody even understands it. He's on that boat. He's out on the course all day. I mean, and if there's something going on, he's the boat you see running down to see what's going on.
Damn near 24 hours.
Only one outside of Diana Dorhauer and Mark on the board. He's the only one that actually went from Shooters 21 to the 34-mile marker back to dog days. So he's the only one that did that. And so he was a flagman because he's a firefighter. It was a lake rescue shootout at that time. So when it moved, he took over start and ran start for many, many years. He ran course the last couple of years. So he's really kind of, if something happens, we're really in trouble because he knows how to set the course.
He does.
Start. I mean, he's done it all. But then also, you know, people don't think about like the buoys. I mean, he went and got forklifts and machines and trailers and hauled buoys for literally the last 2 days because while it takes 8 hours to set those buoys, it also takes that long to get them removed and get them back into, you know, they're stored at the polylift arm, yard arm. Polylift graciously donates space for us to store stuff all year long. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of that came on. But yeah, no, at some point I said, you need to eat. He had ate a beef stick.
Which I'm a fan of, by the way. Those are good. I got one of those.
They're good, yeah. From First Form. Shout out to First Form.
First Form, they're awesome.
Volunteers, electrolytes and protein and meat sticks. They were amazing. But yeah, that's all he had in like 72 hours because the way we're just running and gunning. I mean, it was just a busy, busy week. And so, yeah, no, he gets a ton of credit. And totally volunteer. I mean, just does it for the hours and for the community. And so, and always has. So he's great. And he's how I got into this shootout because I used to just sit on the start boat and enjoy that fun thing.
Oh, remember those days? You got to show up for 1 day or 2 days and then you were done. Oh yeah. Well, that's
trying to fix the movie Saturday morning and I'm like, are there people out there? He's like, Leah, yes, there's hundreds of people and our whole buoy line is destroyed. I gotta go. This was like 6:30 in the morning on Saturday. I'm like, because you know, I can't see it because I'm busy running all the other stuff. So
you mentioned Diana Dorhauer, you know, she runs the registration. She does an amazing job. She was up. I mean, that woman's been, and again, she told me like 35 years she's been associated with the shootout. And
this one made 36.
Yeah, 36. And so
she didn't do her husband, you know, is the one who started it. But
right.
I think she didn't do registration the first year. I think it was just a couple boats. And then after that, she did registration, and that registration crew, some of those girls have done it this whole time. Some of them were 20 plus years in, not the full 30, 37. But yeah, no, they're amazing. There's a lot of aspects that have, you know, course and registration are two things that they've just always been handled by the same people. And It's been amazing. So if we lose them, we're in big trouble.
We don't want to do that. No. Well, thank you again. We really appreciate your time. And like I said, you knocked it out of the park. I mean, it's rare you get to say home run a lot. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, that was a good event. That went off without a hitch. We didn't have any problems. This one was a freaking home run.
Grand slam. Bigger
Grand
than
slam.
Bigger.
And congratulations to you and everybody in your team. And take about, take 2 days at least and relax. And then we got to get you back.
Go enjoy Labor Day.
I've got a nice long nap coming to me Labor Day weekend. Trust me. Although I have 3 kids, there's probably no nap, but at least it'll be, I won't be here. So.
All right, Leah Martin, thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to talking to you here in the near future too.
You guys, see ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye. All right, what a get. We got Leah Martin the week after the shootout.
The best.
And she's so gracious because it's true. She probably got 8 hours of sleep total.
Yeah.
The week before, and then last night she finally got 8 hours of sleep.
I can vouch for that. Plus, what your adrenaline's going, it's hard to sleep.
It is, man. It is. But look, we're gonna end the show here. But and you said it best. You get giddy about it because you're like, it could have gone so many different ways. It could have, not been as great, or it could have been a problem, or maybe we shouldn't have moved it. You look back on that past week, and it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Everything came together, and that doesn't just happen.
Nope.
That's a testament to Leah, her team, all the volunteers, the board, everybody who's putting time and effort into this thing. A lot of unknowns this year that we had to kind of anticipate. We've learned some lessons. Did it all go perfectly? No. Do we have some things for next year we can do better? Of course. But as far as the charity goes, as far as the interaction from the fans and the drivers and the racers and the world, like she said, this is not a Lake Ozark thing. This is a world. People are watching this thing in Europe, and they're watching it in Canada, and they're watching Australia. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a part of it. I know you are too. And I know that in the next couple of months, we'll have some people on as well that were involved. I'd love to get Mark Mawson on and talk to him a little bit. But Jeff, thanks for joining me today, man. I really have had fun with you. We did the show last week. We're doing this one, and we might, hey, maybe we'll do some more.
I'm in.
Until then, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us on the LOZ Podcast Network. This was the Shootout Week recap. We wanted to get everybody at the behind the scenes look at what's going on, and we'll have more things and more features coming up in the near future. Until then, have a great time. Have a safe Labor Day, and we will talk to you guys in a while.
What was your take on the 2025 Shootout? Did you love it, hate it, or were you somewhere in between? I'd love to hear your feedback, good or bad, as I do know firsthand that the Shootout staff and board is listening and taking notes so they can continue to make improvements on the greatest event of the year at the Lake of the Ozarks. I don't know about you, but I already can't wait for Shootout 2026. Until then, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss any of the action and lifestyle at the Lake of the Ozarks.